Wowie wow! We've got a new hot sauce for you.
It's so delicious.
It's spicy.
It's spicier for sure.
Spicier. It's called Harvest Moon, made with ghost peppers, American persimmons,
and spice bush berry.
It's gonna be great. We also have t-shirts available. Brand new t-shirts.
The best t-shirts, I think.
Baseball tees.
Scrumpers United.
If you've collected apples, if you've collected fruit, you're
welcome to the club.
You're welcome to a club. You're a scrumper. So check out our merch store, wildedigiblepod.myshopify.com. Wowie wow! What a thrill on this wonderful episode of Wild Edible World podcast. I'm just one of your hosts, Michael.
And I am Steve. We are here with our pal, Wade Fox.
The Koji wizard, the Koji OG.
Koji Bryant himself.
Yes. We're so happy to have you on, Wade. It's been maybe 2 months of trials and errors.
We've had so many technical difficulties.
Of trying to get you on the show.
Alas.
And you have been, as you have mentioned to me several times at least, that you are the best person to have this happen to. You're so patient. You're so nice. And as we are going to find out in this show, very knowledgeable on how to use this fermentation style of Koji. So thank you so much for joining us, Wade. It's awesome to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
So a couple months ago, when we first were supposed to record with you, you sent us one of your Patreon quarterly packages. So you have a Patreon subscription service that allows people to try some of these crazy things that you make. Do you offer instructional services on there too, like recipes, or is it just like product based?
Yeah, like it's intermittent. Like I'll post a whole bunch of stuff, and you have like an info dump 1 week, and then I'll go another week where I'll just space out. But like I'll at least take photos, or say like this is what I'm working on. So that people know that I haven't like ghosted them, but yeah, I put processes and I make it as easy to do in a home kitchen as possible, because that's where I'm doing all this stuff. Like I'm not doing this in a commercial kitchen, so as low tech as possible and with the least amount of like pretension or whatever.
I love
it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and just things that like beginners can do, like any education level or experience level within Koji fermentation. Like it's just kind of a everything's hyper versatile, and there's no like the only wrong way to use it is to not use it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what I've garnered from following you. Oh, by the way, I want to make sure I say your Instagram is at Fox Among Bears. Really awesome page. Got your big smile with a lovely person next to you who I believe is your partner.
No, it's one of my sisters.
Oh, sister, wonderful.
Julia. Yeah,
you guys look very happy. So I wanted to get we sampled some. So we had in a previous episode that we just recorded time travel-y like 30 minutes ago, but will be have it released probably at a separate time than this. We tried some of the stuff that you sent us from the quarterly package, and we wanted to get a little bit more information about some of them. So to start off, let's go with Butthurt. So right off the bat, it's a very funny title, Butthurt. It tastes amazing. So what can you say about the name? What's up with that?
So like ghost peppers are also known as butt jalokia, BHUT. And I came up with that pun like 5 years ago, and I tried to get a buddy of mine that makes these like exquisite hot sauces. I tried to get him to do one, and he was like worried that it would offend people.
No
like, Come on.
way.
It's hot sauce. Yeah, that's
right.
so funny.
So I made it myself, and he used it as butthurt as an ingredient in one of his sauces. But so he was happy to include it. He just didn't want to be responsible for the making of it.
Very cool.
But like Koji denatures capsaicin, and so that's why if you have it and it's not as like destructive as it normally is, that would be one reason why. And then it's got sumac, so it has malic acid, and that will like lower it a bit. And there's honey powder that will lower it a bit. So a lot of the ingredients in it are there for a reason, just to make it so that it's more of an experience and less of a burn.
Yeah, and it was too. It was so interesting feeling that like it was like a tingle. It was kind of sour, and once you say that it had sumac in it, it was like, oh, of course. It was like that weird because it wasn't salty, but it was very tingly. I don't know. It was like just next to saltiness.
Well, the salt in it, I did. So if you take chanterelles and you salt them like pretty heavily, like slice them and salt them, it leaches all the excess liquid out of them. And then you take that salt liquid and cook it back into salt, and all the sugars that it pulls out of the chanterelles caramelize, and you have this like really amazing base, like essence of chanterelle salt, because there's no physical chanterelles in it.
Yeah, I had that before. I had some of that.
Yeah. So that's the base sauce or the base salt in the butthurt mix, just to kind of add that like kind of free umami or the glutamates. And so yeah, like I usually I'll come up with something, like I'll just random pun, and then figure out how to make it work, because it's got to be good, because it's got a good name. And like
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
But it also had like, if you take ramps and smoke them and then dehydrate them, they develop this kind of like barbecue seasoning flavor, which is super weird. So it's got some of that, and then I think I put like green spice bush maybe. Actually, I can tell you right now. It's got mountain mint, spice bush, sumac, rose, ramp, magnolia bud, honey powder, Koji orange zest, Koji lime zest, and then date seed powder. So like
date seed?
You get fresh dates. Yeah, this is a neat one. So if you get fresh dates, preferably fresh dates and not the just like the sugar, like the dates in the yellow.
Yeah.
You take the seeds out, wash them, dry them, and then low temp roast them and powder them, and they smell and taste like coffee.
Ooh.
It's like one of the weirdest, but they have B vitamins. So like, how all those things say coffee substitute, like this is a legitimate coffee substitute, but even more so because it gives you energy and, no crash.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Yes. And I, when I did that, because I didn't like read it anywhere, I made sure that the seeds weren't poisonous.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way this hasn't been done. And, of course it has. But I thought that was going to be like, this is the way I make it, boys.
This is it. Nope. This is it. Give me your dates.
Like, negatory. That's been done for like thousands of years. But
classic.
but like that, it's a great powder for salts or sugars or seasoning meats or a simple syrup with that. Like that just it's so and most restaurants, like I've told a couple chefs that, and that's huge for them because they go through a lot of dates and they throw away a lot of date seeds, and so they powdered it and worked it into like babka, put it into the bread or
interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
So it's just there's always, and that's one thing I like about fermentation is that if something doesn't work on its own, more than likely it can work through a different process. You're synthesizing it in different ways. You can you make it edible or more palatable or less palatable.
Yeah, speaking on palatability, probably the most interesting ingredient we got in your package was the Koji blue zetiary. Am I saying that right?
Zetiary.
Oh, zetiary. Okay, zetiary. So
yeah,
what?
It's like
what is that?
It's a turmeric. Like it's kind of like turmeric is the designation for the edible.
Sure.
Like corms, and then zetiary is the medicinal. And if you have blue zetiary fresh, it's crazy astringent, and whatever's in it, you'll start sweating because it's like leaching something out of you. That's what it did for me.
Like niacin or something?
I don't know. I started sweating and was
sounds wild.
Not aware that was a part of the journey, but it's really like it has a lot of curcumins in it. It's great, like anti-inflammatory. You use it like for muscle, like a muscle rub, and it's not going to like completely stain everything like the orange or yellow turmeric does.
Okay.
But like the Cade used it to make a really cool sucker. I think it needs like a lot of sweetness to really like. But I'll take those pieces and I'll put it in my rice and then make a curry.
It's very distinct.
Interesting.
Like for tea, like throw it in with a tea mix. Like it has like kind of some florals, like depending on what stage you dig it, it can be like floral or like soapy floral.
I was gonna say like it's kind of like on the wormwood area of botanical like bitterness, but sweet almost. Like interesting. Okay, cool.
But that would be like if you made a riff on like a fermented or like that would be a good bitter for cocktails. Like
that's exactly the way I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like plus it's good for you, so like you can validate the experience more because curcumins and anti-inflammatory, whatever. But it's like where you have fiber takes away one carb.
Yeah, exactly.
Zetiary takes away one drink.
Oh, cool.
Math is probably not.
Yeah, I don't think that drink math.
No, that works. Yeah, that counts. That tracks.
But they're like I grow a bunch of. They're not rare. It's just like rare to hear. Like if you go down to Florida, certain areas they're like weeds everywhere. But I got like green zetiary. It's a chartreuse color on the inside, and when you get past the astringency, it's kind of like matcha, like citrus flavors. And then I got this like ginger that's called Plai, Plai, and it's cooling and numbing, and it's like bright yellow, no heat, and it's like jackfruit mango camphor toothpaste, which is like different. But if you take that and
pretty safe to say that's different.
Like ferment it with put it with amazake or shiokoji, and then dehydrate and powder and add that to honey. It's like one of the best things. It's really good for you, but it just has a really neat. So like the stuff I'm making for the next one, one of my patrons has arthritis, and I try and I don't tell the patrons this, but like I'm tracking what they tell me. Sure. In like a good way, like so that I can make things that benefit the whole and that everyone can enjoy, but it's like specifically for one person.
Sure. Yeah.
But I've got the like Koji rainbow turmeric, like dehydrated, and then I've got some yuzu fermenting that I'll dehydrate and powder, like a zest, and then I took the pulp, like I zested the yuzu, and then I used sake kasu, which is the lees after the sake process, and dehydrated and powdered that, and it has this like bready flavor.
Oh, sure. Yeah. The lease, right? Yeah, the leftover. Okay.
Yeah. And then I put that on the rest, like the rest of the pulp of the yuzu, and then put it through maillard reaction until it completely dried. I mean, it took like 4 days, and powdered that, so it'll have that, and then some saffron powder as kind of a sweet salt. But the member in question, she makes a lot of like tibicos and shrubs and I think like tapache adjacent things. So like low alcohol,
Sure.
Beverages,
Fizzy drinks.
So it's
shrubberies.
Yes. So it's things that are like the anti-inflammatory will really work wonders for the arthritis. And like another patron has long COVID, and so that like again, like I'm doing things that are like seem random, but they're very purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
Even though all the different things are like have nothing to do with one another. But so, do y'all like? What do y'all know of the maillard reaction?
Well, honestly, I've learned a lot from following your page. Just kind of seeing, that so the maillard reaction. I know that it is what makes food tasty. It's that like dark change on the skin, on the surface of anything that you cook, that gives it that like depth and complexity of flavor.
Right. Like I got this like I was growing a bunch of garlic like 6 or 7 years ago, and like I loved using black garlic, but it's very expensive, and even if you buy it in volume, it's still expensive. And so I tried to figure out if I could like make it at home realistically and not stink up the house, and but every way I tried it, it worked, but it just wasn't like the same quality that I could buy. And then I was like trying to find this place that I bought it from on Amazon, and I typed in black garlic, and the first thing that came up in the search box was black garlic fermenter. But I was like, well, what's this now? And it's it looks kind of like a rice cooker or an Instapot, and it fits like 5 or 6 liters worth of, but it has this like metal cage that you pack everything in, so it doesn't touch any of the walls, so it won't burn.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's pressure sealed, so you don't need to bag anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it fluctuates temperatures. Like I walked by and it was changing temperatures, and I thought it was like messed up. So I contacted the company, and they explained to me that like the average of the high and low is maillard. So it's like this little machine is a maillard chamber, and like so everyone else, like 99.9% of people are using one straight temperature, and that's why it takes so fucking long, because it's having to go from the outside in.
Sure. Whereas
this is like the core temperature is reached on the inside, so maillard from the inside out. So like
that's so fucking cool.
That was one of the yeah, and this is one of those like I'm not going to die on the hill, because I'm happy being on this hill.
Sure.
Like a lot of people will say that's not maillard, blah, 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 blah. But like at the end of the day, I can do a whole pomelo in this thing, and I can stop it after 2 days and use the partial maillard pomelo juice to make a ponzu, and other people can't do that. So like,
yeah, so come at me now, bro.
There's no, like there's no, people say it's not practical because it doesn't do enough. It's like, learn how to scale your food. Like there's an excuse and a counter to every little thing, but like it's one of the most it has changed the way that I cook and changed the way that I ferment, and has helped me accelerate. Like I can do a miso in 3 weeks and like
Oh, whoa.
full term, and like the tamari off it, it's insane because everything's already like it's a much easier medium for the enzymes to rip through. Like it's more concentrated. Is it exactly the same as miso? No, but like, does it have it has the flavor points I'm looking for. It's much more nutrient dense. That's important to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's following the same kind of tenets. It's just
that's honestly one of the
all of. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's honestly one of the biggest like things that intrigues me about like Koji and any of these processes that you're talking about is the nutrient density, because I mean, as foragers out in the woods, I mean, part of the reason we do it is because it's better for you, right? It's in a lot of the ways it's just a more nutrient dense product made by Mother Nature, rather than trying to mix and match the different NPK to grow the perfect tomato or whatever have you. Like I'd rather be out picking persimmons and throwing them into my hot sauce. Lovely hot sauce available for sale. But that's kind of that's what fascinates me so much about this, is in all those cooking processes, and even just all the thoughtfulness that goes into like your spice mixtures, like butthurt or what have you. It's just fun to say, so I chose butthurt. It's the nutritional density that fascinates me, and I feel like that's like we've not even scratched the surface. I don't even think we've done that.
No. I mean, and in an era, I love what you said about the thoughtfulness behind the food, because of it, in an era of fast, especially in an American society where we got so much going on all the time, there's not much intention or thought behind our food anymore. And that is something that's becoming bigger in the culinary world, I think, is like, people want stories to their meals now. They want to know who, why, where, when. People are big on the when nowadays, actually. So, yeah, it's incredible to hear the amount of thought that you put behind the names, the ingredients, the layering of it all. I have a couple questions. What's the weirdest thing you think you've put in the black garlic machine? In the chamber.
Scallops.
Scallops?
What the hell?
Yeah.
What was weird about that?
I Koji cured scallops and then put them in there, and then like totally forgot about them because it smelled like good scallops smell like kind of like sweet corn.
Yeah, agreed.
And like, so it didn't have some like rank smell. So I just like put it on a 12-day cycle, just be on the safe side, and walked away, and then came back, and they were like completely solidified in a way that I could like shave them.
What?
As like, yeah. And like, that was neat.
What did they
and like,
taste
I don't even like scallops. I was just curious, like what it would do.
What did it taste like?
It's have you ever had like a dried oyster or like the dried shrimp? It's like
shrimp for sure. Yeah. Has that like incredible.
It's like a really powerful, like it's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like the kind of briny, salty part, and it was so completely different from, because the texture is totally different. It's like,
it sounds wild.
like it. I haven't made it again, but it was just like I was just literally like to fuck around and find out.
Sure.
Yeah. When you got good scallops, make
right.
shaved scallop chunks.
And a buddy of mine did that with, he did it with Koji. Like he coated it in, I think he did like a Koji brine first to pull the liquid out, and then coated it with Koji, and and then he like threw it in the back of his fridge, and same thing, he forgot about it for like a couple weeks. And, it was like not completely solidified, but like when he coated it, he said it was just, again, it's like you're able to eat, depending on what process you use, you can eat something again for the first time, even if you like have eaten it every day of your life. Like it is so, it's a different texture, it's bringing out more flavor.
Well, it almost sounds kind of similar, or very similar to like cured egg yolk or something. So it's just kind of that process of extracting out the moisture. And with like Koji flour, you're also you're almost inoculating the surface area, preventing other bacteria from taking hold, especially in something weird like, seafood or shellfish.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
because like a lot can go bad.
Yeah, like absolutely, yeah. But also, it's not as scary as people eat dried fish in all sorts of cultures throughout all time, and they've accomplished that through a variety of methods. So it's like, I love the idea too of eating something again for the first time. Like that's a very fun. That's very whimsical.
The black garlic machine, like when I figured out like what it was doing and how it was different, like how it, like it's the difference between someone doing a maillard reaction and the maillard reaction.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so if people want to like come at me and be like, hey, let's play semantics. But like and I tell people like, hey, if you get this machine, and I don't get any kickback from the company, they don't know I exist, but like, it's like the principle of it's $100, and if after a month you don't realize the value of it, I'll buy it from you, because like I'm always happy to have another one. I've got 3 or 4 of them as it is, but
That's awesome.
Right on.
But when I figured out what it did, I was then curious like why certain things went through the reaction better than others, and it's a sugar group called oligosaccharides, and that's all alliums. So like if you get ramps,
Mm-hmm.
and then Koji cure, like put them in Shio Koji, which is just like salt, Koji, and water that just sits at room temp for like 7 days, and then you blend it together. It's kind of like a salt substitute in Japan. But it's like enzymatic salt, and put the ramps in that for a couple days, and then put the ramps in the maillard chamber, and at the end they'll look like hillbilly vanilla sticks.
Okay.
Like just the color of them and texture, and the flavor of them is insane. And then like after you then have ramp Shio Koji. Like ramp flavored Shio Koji,
just
so
sitting at the bottom of the chamber.
No. Like
what
after
it
you
turns
after
into,
you
what
put
the leaf turns into.
Like after you put it, like if you put the ramps in the Shio Koji, then you have ramp flavored Shio Koji.
Of course,
because of the flavor pool. But and that's good on. That would be great in a hot sauce, for example.
Hey.
But yeah, and then like I used the black ramp powder for a lot of different things, and
yeah, it sounds kind of intoxicating. Honestly, it sounds so good. So you said alio. So basically, that term would mean anything in the onion family because of allium, right?
It's like all alliums, and then medlar, that's what Kirsten Chalky sent me.
Mm-hmm.
It's
those like butthole fruits.
Yeah, the dog butthole.
There we go.
That's what they call them in England. But
we love English phrases over here.
We do.
Quince, pomelo. I did black white asparagus because they also have a bunch of oligosaccharides.
Really? Okay.
Any ebony and ivory thing I can do, I will absolutely
That's awesome.
do that. Artichoke hearts. I did raw artichokes, and then made a miso with the artichoke hearts, and that was really, really exceptional.
Interesting. I can't imagine what that would taste like.
Like the texture is amazing because the artichoke hearts are just like so buttery anyway, and super smooth and like nutty.
Super
What
yum.
else I've done there?
Okay, so let me ask you a different question. Let me sidetrack the conversation a little bit. Recently on your Instagram, you posted, you got like, so that yuzu orange thing, you talk about flavor stacking being a hobby of yours. Would you like describe or define flavor stacking for me? What are you doing there?
I guess an easy way to do it at home would be, the start of the growing season, you would say maybe like pickle leeks and then, or ramps. And then you take that vinegar and you use that to pickle peppers. And then you use that, pepper ramp vinegar to pickle cucumbers. And so you're getting,
okay.
Like it's just a way to recycle the same medium that's perfectly fine to like go through the process again and again. And and then at the end you have this, like you kind of like pickle the things you want to get that in flavor, and then you take that aggregate flavored vinegar and boil it down with honey, and now you have a gastrique, and then you can use that in a whole bunch of different, like there's just so many ways to like.
That sounds excellent.
So I bet that's how you got your salsa, isn't it?
Yeah.
By like flavor stacking with a bunch of different stuff.
I told my wife that I was like, it tastes like salsa, and she's like, so then it's salsa, and I was like,
she's a
yes.
winner.
How did you not get that one?
Well, we basically like groan over one another. That's how that's how we work.
That's awesome.
Like narrow stare at one another, and it's like high praise.
Sigh.
What's wrong, buddy?
Well, I just realized this mushroom supplement I bought isn't actually made with mushrooms. It's made with something called myceliated grain?
Myceliated grain?
Oh, no!
I'm sorry to tell you, buddy, but myceliated grain is a sure sign of a poor quality mushroom supplement.
Well, dang. I wanted mushrooms, not brown rice. What should I do?
Well, you should support a small batch producer from right here in the Midwest. Keweenaw Apothecary.
Keweenaw Apothecary? Tell me more.
Keweenaw Apothecary specializes in high-quality mushroom extracts from Michigan, and they always use real mushrooms, never myceliated grain.
That sounds like exactly what I've been looking for. Where can I order?
Well, you can find them at keweenawapothecary.etsy.com. That's KEWEENAW apothecary.etsy.com. Be sure to read their many excellent reviews.
Thanks, buddy. I don't want no low-quality mushroom products from a factory. I want Keweenaw Apothecary.
Wowie wow!
Oh, hey, Steve.
Oh, hey, Mike.
Well, what's wrong, buddy?
Well, I just got this new water bottle, but it just looks so plain.
Well, have I got the store for you. Introducing the Wild Edible World Podcast Merch Store.
Wowie wow!
It's the merch store where you can get all of your favorite podcasts merch for all your decorating purposes.
How do I find that?
Go to wildedibleworldpod.shopify.com or go to any of our Instagram and media accounts and view the link in the bio.
Wowie wow!
Like my dad's like really good with puns. But if I tell him one that he, his groan, he'll say, that's 2/3 of a pun, PU, and he'll hold his nose.
Nice. That
It's
never
pretty
gets
good.
old, dude. Never gets old.
It's like sweet burn,
Yeah, that was
dad
excellent.
burning a dad.
Yeah.
Did you ever go out foraging with your family or anything?
Yeah, my grandmother took me out, and it like that's where I learned like taking the time to do things a certain way, or like picking things in such a way that you can't tell that I picked them. Like taking what I need, and because like we're not the only people that rely on that space. Animals,
Sure.
whatever. But and I do that to this day. Like with chanterelles. I mean, when I was down in Georgia, there were so many. It was ridiculous. Like you couldn't see the ground half the time. But
Is that the video you posted recently?
I found a couple patches up here, but like I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff I post is a troll because they're so filthy. I don't pick any of them. It's just one of those like, oh my god! But if they saw the underneath of them, they'd probably pick them anyway. But in Georgia and South Carolina, I would just pick the cleanest ones possible, and go on to the next batch. And the places I had permission to pick kept on giving me permission. So, it's just, and I would pick the cleanest ones because I would share with the landowners. Like on my way out, I'd give them a bag of like pristine, clean. It was easier to pick them like that than to take all of them and go home and clean them. And
yeah, sure.
But and then like when you do like 1,000 squats a day, the last thing you want to do is go home and clean chanterelles for like forever.
Yep, relate to that. That's relatable content.
But yeah, just like the protocols for and then a buddy of mine named Sean in South Carolina, he taught me that too. Just you can be that one person that takes everything, and then everyone will take everything. Like it's
100%.
Or don't be a dick and hope other people.
That's the way I like to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot. I like to believe that there are more nice people out there, more thoughtful people like you, than there are people who are thoughtless. We're all just busy, and we all got our own problems. So, it can be hard to see that sometimes. But
the people that there are people. A lot of the people do that. Like I'll run into them. Like I know them, and I'll mention like, hey, next time, and they'll say like, oh, I just need the money, or there's always some sort of reason. But
sure, yeah. So you remember going foraging with your grandmother? Do you remember the first thing you ever foraged, and like, do you have that memory?
It was ramps. I don't have the memory of that, but I do have the memory of my parents taking me to the ramp festival and them not telling me that it was ramp milk.
Oh.
It was like the biggest case of child abuse in my life.
Oh my
it was
god!
Awful. Like
that made Steve eat a hot sauce apple chunk.
Yeah, I just ate some hot sauce apple. Just thinking of that.
Ramp milk. Oh my god!
It was awful, and it was just one of those things that like I couldn't have dairy for like.
Oh no!
It's like.
I can imagine.
It like imprints on you, and they thought it was hilarious, and I was like trauma.
Yeah. Sure.
The fact that it was, I mean, accidents happen. That sucks, and sometimes people can't help but laugh at it. But that seems pretty intentional. That's kind of messed up.
It's like one and done. They didn't do that to my sister though. I don't know if it's just because she was into different things, but. But yeah, like I like my grandmother always had a a large garden and,
Nice.
like snapping beans and fresh corn, silver queen corn.
Nice.
Um,
Where'd you grow up?
you're
Texas?
just taking the time.
Georgia?
Tennessee.
Oh, you grew up in Tennessee.
I'm a hill boy.
And now you're back.
Yeah, like I was born in Knoxville and went to university there, like partial university, and the rest in Maryland. But I opened a restaurant here in 2000 and got out of that because I was having dreams of murdering my business partners.
Yeah,
and it's
restaurants
kind
are
of
hard.
time to call it quits.
Yeah.
But
good for you.
but then started farming. I was a specialty farmer for about 15 years, and
No way. That's awesome.
and that's actually how I got into Koji, because I remember this article I read when we lived in Hong Kong when I was in high school.
Oh,
My dad worked for FedEx,
Mhm.
and I remember reading this article about these 9 small cattle farms in Japan and what they fed and how they cared for their animals.
Mhm.
And a lot of them mentioned sake kasu, and I don't know why that stuck in my head, all the drinking I did, but fast forward 10 years, 15 years, I was managing a small farm in near Hilton Head, South Carolina, and it just kind of hit me what if it's not the beer? What if it's not the massage? What if it's not they levitate they're in harnesses or whatever?
Mhm.
What if it's that they're fed sake kasu, and it's just a whole bunch of aminos and enzymes that are helping everything
Sure.
else they eat more nutrient. So I raised quail and fed them Koji inputs, and the meat was better, the eggs were better,
That's
the animals
awesome.
were healthier, the manure was better, just in terms of there was no negative to doing that.
That's incredible.
They had I think it was 0.8 ounces larger at the regular slaughter time,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't seem a lot, but that's a lot for quail,
For a
'cause they
small
don't have,
bird, that's a big deal.
it's a lot of meat, but just happier animals, and
What's up?
and I know that because when they're scared, their manure has more of an ammonia, it's a stress thing,
Sure.
and their manure didn't that's just something I've noticed. I'm not walking around, comparing bird shit
No,
to bird
yeah,
shit.
but
quail turds.
ammonia is a very aromatic chemical. You
Yeah.
smell it very easily.
Happy, safe birds, if they're not worried about getting got by a possum or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
but,
hit you up because I have chickens in the backyard.
Yeah, gotta start
Nice.
feeding them some
Like-
Koji.
I'll send you all a link of where to get some dry rice Koji, and it's as simple as milling it into powder and then just adding it to what you're already feeding them, or because it's literally it's allowing them to get more nutrient density out of all of their food. So it's basically Koji curing them from the inside out, because it's their blood, they get more nutrient, it's just it's systemic.
Yeah,
But,
I've
I use that as
I've seen a few videos on fermenting food for your livestock in general, and it seems super intriguing. I really haven't delved too much into it, but I think maybe you just convinced me.
Wait, do you have
It's-
Oh, sorry.
well, just real quick, that's so I wanted to do closed loop fermentation,
Sure.
and in order to do that, I have to use fermentation to feed my plants. So, say we're growing arugula, I would do Koji substrate, rice Koji, but I added arugula seed,
Mm-hmm.
because each seed has the foundation for the plant, everything it needs.
Sure.
So the starting ferment has everything it needs, and then as the plant grows, I made ferments with the plant itself, and then did a
Nice.
liquid and a powder. So like at the end for the next crop, it has everything it needs.
That's
Just,
awesome.
that was the idea behind it.
It's like live amending your soil.
Yep. And it's
That's
returning
fucking
a lot
cool.
of like what's taken specifically to your space. And I did like offshoots of it, like trimming the trees around the garden and making Koji biochar with it, basically.
That's fucking awesome.
Just to like, because you don't have to have any like you just need a fire, and like time. But I did a Mother Earth workshop on it in Nashville a couple years ago, and like if I hadn't had stuff to give to people, I think they would have like pitchforked me out of there because like they were wanting like a perfect easy thing for their space, and I was like, you have to already be kind of soil stewards, and this is just an extra thing that like is only as good as what you're already doing. So they're just like, but yeah, so like the turmeric, like the Zedawari, was grown with Koji for like Zedawari specific, like it's a whole growing cycle, and then I made the ferment.
That's fucking cool, man.
So it's just yeah, that's not necessary. Like no one needs to do that.
Sure.
That's just like
it's like above and beyond.
It's a shitload of work. Like
people don't need to forage either, but this is all about going the extra way for the extra nutrient, for the extra flavor, for the extra, everything that it gives you. So
yeah, I just trimmed my I have a crabapple tree and a couple pear trees in the backyard, and I just trimmed them. So now my brain's like, how the fuck do I Koji biochar these MFers?
yeah.
Well, so you would char, like
sure make
burn
biochar.
Right, just fucking ash everything, and like then add Koji flour and water, and then use that. Just kind of like spread it as a liquid, so that it like leaches down.
Sure.
So it's just it's one of those things that's like it's anecdotal until you try it, and people are like, "That's not going to work." But like it's spreading the nutrients back in, that the trees are sucking out of it.
Yeah, it can't
for the
fucking
last
hurt.
like 50 years or whatever. Yeah, it's not gonna do anything bad. Like you're not gonna like cause a mycotoxin that makes the day after tomorrow like actually happen. But yeah, so it's just once you start doing it, like anything, it just becomes what you do, and it's not any extra work.
I'm gonna go home and start the fermentation process for my chicken food right now.
Yeah.
I got hella buckets.
Do you have any? Do you have like your favorite book recommendation for where people can go to learn more about using Koji themselves?
There's one that was translated from Japanese called Koji for Life, and it's more about how to grow your own, like incubate your own, and make the basic like miso, sake, mirin, whatever. Just very precise, exact, like follow that and nothing's going to go wrong, because they've been doing it for a long time. But if you're wanting things that are more relatable in terms of like cuisine, Jim Umansky and Rich Shih wrote Koji Alchemy.
Nice.
And that has a lot of good like the Noma book of fermentation. It's neat, but it's like if you're not at Noma, it's kind of like they don't explain a lot of like what works there is not guaranteed to work anywhere else. And they didn't mention that.
Yeah, that, and it is a tome. It isn't just like a $20 book on Amazon. It's like $100-something, isn't it?
The Noma Guide to Fermentation is like, I think it's like 40, and then they have like the Noma 2.0 book that's like $100 and something bucks. But,
okay.
Yeah, I think those things are neat, and I know a lot of the people that have like run the lab there and people that work there or stage or whatever, and they do neat things. But if you there's so many different ways to do one thing that like the Noma way might work for you the best, or like the most important thing, the thing that helped me the most was like when I started using it, there wasn't a lot of information in English about it. There weren't any books, and the Wikipedia page told me like literally what it is and what it does. And I went and took a university class on nutrition and digestion. Failed it, but I learned a lot of. I mean, the point was not to excel. But I learned more about like how the stomach works, and that basically Koji is like the digestion, and there's no peptides to like stop the process. It just keeps on going until the medium's synthesized. And what the different enzymes, like what everything breaks down into, how our body, what are the benefits, positive and negatives for our bodies, like how to use those things to best digest, because it's kind of like Koji's kind of like, it's like the mama bird pre-digesting the food and throwing it up in the baby's mouth.
Nice.
Like
Right.
that's Koji's like pre-breaking it down so that and that's why it's we're able to get more flavor out of it. It makes us salivate more. But like a really good analogy is like, did you all play video games as kids?
Yeah.
Like the Game Genie.
Sure. Yeah.
Koji's the Game Genie.
I think that's what you. I think you said that to me
That's
before.
funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is it
like
is it similar to the cycle that like a ruminant's stomach goes through with like the 4 different stomachs and fermentation, essentially fermenting, allowing them to turn like grass and plants into fat and delicious beef or the like?
I don't know.
I think
I'll look that up though, because like it like the Koji, like I would love. Okay, so any super wealthy, curious, person out there that wants to make maybe not make a bunch of money, but like huge flex, to start a cattle farm and a sake brewery.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because then you have your sake,
We just
and
need the
that's, you're
wealthy
selling that
person.
anyway.
Yeah,
And calling all wealthy people that aren't stingy with their money.
right. that are assholes.
Yeah, any of our super rich listeners
Yeah.
of our foraging podcast.
Mother, father, are you listening?
Yeah.
But no, like then you would have essentially Kobe cattle, and you can call it that. But like, so the difference between like Kobe beef and the A5 like Wagyu is that Kobe are fed sake kasu, and the A5 are fed sake.
Oh shit.
So
What?
it's like yeah. So it's because I was curious about that too, of like, why isn't this? What's the difference? Because it's pretty close, but there's got to be something like why it's not as like fatty or
Sure.
But that it's that they're not getting that surplus of like the enzymes. Like, they're not getting active enzymes. They're just getting like drizunk. But
Yeah, they're just getting
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
wasted. And your body, at least human bodies, I don't know about cow bodies, burn sugar alcohols first, so maybe that kind of helps. Like it's busy burning all that sake off, so then it's just storing that fat, making it super like fucking
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, delicious. Yeah.
Well, the funny part with I went to this Japanese place here in town, and I just assumed that they would like know what Koji was, and they did not. But like the chef there, out of all the stuff I brought, and then I brought some like really fun things. He was more interested in me Koji curing A5 meat, and I was just like, man, it's the one negative of Koji is that fats are a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be very careful of like the time that you do something, or because rancidity can occur.
Sure.
pretty quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or like it sours the medium, or and like some things. The main thing about fermentation is learning what things are great on their own
Mm-hmm.
and need to be enjoyed as such, and then what things can benefit from a secondary process, whether it be like for preservation or something's bland or so do y'all like truffles?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I accidentally figured out, like most things, and it's either a failure or an accident. But I figured out how to dry age truffles.
What?
And like, yeah.
How the hell does that work?
It's like I've got 2 runs of it. I'm about to do a third, and then like a buddy of mine's going to send me some Oregon whites,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be kind of like so I've done it with honey truffles, and I was able to powder them, which is crazy because truffles don't powder.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's what I was going to ask
yeah,
you. Was it like a little, nutmeg or whatever? Did you have to like microplane it onto whatever you were doing?
I just like sliced it thin. It's like it can be done with anything, but there's a specific way to do it that like makes it perfect. And it's like it is a lot more work, but it's cogified. Like it's doing. Koji pulls the liquid out and synthesizes it. So it's like tamari, like that's the digested medium.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you put Koji on meat, it'll pull especially on seafood, you can like pull out 35% of the liquid, so you can make like tuna prosciutto.
That's awesome.
Oh, yum.
Same thing with like you can incubate steamed vegetables and make charcuterie out of like carrots or beets. Like through the incubation process, it pulls the liquids out to make it a easier medium for the next sporulation to digest for the next sporulation.
Okay.
But Koji's like it can be super simple, like as simple as following a recipe, or jump down whatever rabbit hole, and when you jump into a rabbit hole, you're going to hit another rabbit. You're going to hit another like tunnel, and there's like I can't go back. I'm ruined. Like
I think that's
like this is just I have to go forward. There's no like going back is going to be more work. Like defragging my brain to like go back to what normal was.
Oh my god.
So like that's not. I'm not doing that because like ultimately I'm lazy. Like I'll figure out. I'll take a long time to figure out the easiest way to do something. But yeah. So you like bonito flakes, like katsuobushi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna order one of those machines because I have a truffle that it's like hard as a rock, and I want to see if it I did kind of a pencil shaver kind of thing, and it's still aromatic, which is crazy. They lose their aroma so fast, and the texture is not like eating like a McRib. That like weird, like sawdusty kind of thing going on.
Sure.
It's like there's things that Koji does that are constants, and that's one of them. Like it's pulling the excess liquid out of something.
Sure.
And
concentrate on that flavor a bit.
or it's like everything turns into a miso on some level. Like if you put koji and honey, a portion of it will crystallize, and that's your like miso mash, and then the rest of it turns into more of like a maple syrup, and that's your tamari, or your digested medium.
That's fucking wild.
Right.
Even with maple syrup, you'll see a darker area at the bottom. Like there's a liquid within a liquid always.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like when you ask me questions, it's kind of like I freeze up because I'm like, I don't know how to answer this in any way that's not like just like there's so much. It's like where do I start?
Like how do I let out the correct answer without letting out all this other shit that is in there as well? Totally get it.
Right, because like I don't want you all to get like dead fish eyes when I like talk about something too long and like where your eyes just glaze over and you're like, oh.
Seeing as how before this conversation I knew jack shit about Koji.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's also it's not as much as you think.
No,
it can be as much as you want,
and it is fascinating.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I do want to have this conversation. Like a 3-part.
Yeah, this can't be the last time we check. Wade, yeah, unfortunately, our time is at about close, but we will definitely be coming back and checking in with you and like seeing what else you're up to. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you all information as to where to get Koji, and
perfect.
Before you buy books, what you need to do is mill it, like use a coffee grinder and mill it into powder. Use a sieve to sift it out. Add it to everything you love, like your favorite food. Add it to use it to cook meat. Add it to your favorite dressings, your favorite condiments, and see how it changes it, and how fast it does, or what it does to the texture, so that like you like your palate. Like you kind of see which part, like whether you enjoy the savory side of it or the sweet side or salty, like you figure out which direction to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like educate yourself through books or videos or whatever. But the easiest way to like really get a massive leg up is to not make miso, like unless you grew up with that stuff. I did not.
Make literally anything else.
Yeah, like you add it to your hot sauce, because like it will, like y'all know that really well, and I really liked the ramblin'. I used that. I made a kimchi.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
In a gochujang. Like, so if you don't want to make gochujang, like take a year or whatever to make it, you can get red miso, because the end texture is very similar. So you start with red miso, and you add like mirin and honey and salt and sake or whatever, some like soy sauce and whatever pepper. Like you can add the gochugaru, but like that's what they do in Korea. That's what they have. That's what works best over there. But the whole purpose of this is to use what works best in your space.
Yeah,
ultimately.
What you have.
Right. And so I use your hot sauce, and then I use some of the smoke ramp powder, and I used some of the peppers I would have used to make a barbecue rub, and I made a hot barbecue jang.
That's awesome.
Nice. Barbecue jang.
Yep. But yeah. So before I go, I wanted to high five Steve, because they had, like, you guys asked what my foraging origin was, and I would never have come up with foraging had you not asked me, because you literally basically said it. You just didn't.
Yeah, that
what
term will be
that's
utilized.
What I heard.
For real.
But like, that's what I heard, because I thought you said foraging, and I was like, ooh, I like this.
That's funny.
This
if
is,
only
this
we
is good
had.
stuff.
Just so brilliant without knowing it, you know.
Yeah, but thanks for the thanks for the cool phrase, and thanks for the quarterly package you sent us so graciously a while back. And thanks for saying the kind stuff about our hot sauce. Thank you for.
That was really, really good. Like
yeah.
I'm Sagittarius and autistic, and I don't see the value of like not telling the truth, like being as transparent as possible. So like I really enjoyed it. Like it had one of the people I worked with said that it was white boy perfect.
We'll take that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, like it was just the right amount of heat to be like super versatile, and that's how I think. Like I could use it on anything, and really perfect. But
heck yeah, man!
I'll get y'all another quarterly of things I'm doing now, but also things that you could use to feed your chickens and whatever else.
Oh, dude, sounds awesome.
Yeah, count on it, man. We'll trade you for a bottle of hot sauce. How's that?
Hell yeah, that'll work.
It's on the record.
But yeah, thanks so much, and y'all have a great night.
All right,
thank
buddy.
you too,
We'll see
Wade.
ya.
It's been great to talk to you. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Wade.
Man. Holy F.
Holy Wade.
Can you imagine like the hard drive that must be in his head of all of this information? Like, holy butts.
Yeah, well, that's it really sounds like a lot, and I'm not trying to disparage the vast wealth of information that he has, absolutely, but it's just a matter of understanding. It sounds super complicated, but really there's like 3 parts to any sort of koji fermenting, and that's
super
like
simplistic.
It's making sake. You have the medium, and then it's a digestive enzyme, and so once it eats something, it puts something out, and that's the tamari.
Mm-hmm.
You just get used to these phrases and these terms or whatever, and then it's like, oh, all of this makes sense. So yeah, so maybe for somebody else like you who has had absolutely no concept of koji before
but
they
I do
step
know about
into this
fermentation,
episode. Yeah. It can
it's
be
just
hitting
like
a wall of
different.
information
Yeah. Oh,
sometimes.
for sure.
So
I mean, I guess the most important thing is just like Wade said himself, it's the shortest path to you and like nutrition and flavor.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of what he's about. And man, that was fucking sweet, I thought. And I have so many different projects I have to start now.
Yeah.
Especially with like the chickens and stuff, because it's really important. I have a 4.5-month-old, and the only thing I'm thinking about is nutritional density, nutrient density, and how can I give him the best head start nutritionally and stuff. So I'm for sure going to be hitting Wade up for lots of things. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a fucking blast.
Yeah, that was cool.
Also, I said "holy butts" back there a little bit ago, and I think I'm gonna adopt that.
You're
That's
not
like
gonna,
a thing. No, I am going to.
You're
gonna
gonna
say,
lean in.
Butts. Yeah, I'm gonna lean in pretty
cool.
hard. that could be a bumper sticker.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks. Shout out to Wade again at Fox Among Bears on Instagram. Very cool. Very
super funny
informative
guy. Super punny guy.
Yeah, super punny. He's deep in the waters already, so it can be kind of intimidating seeing what he's working with. But I love his perspective when it comes to other people trying this out. And he says the most important thing is to just do it.
Yeah.
Literally, all it takes is just buying this already cultured rice and then powderizing it and then putting it on, mixing it in to anything. I think what he said about the hot sauce was a particularly good idea, especially because Koji denatures capsaicin.
So there you go.
Or capsaicin or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to make our hot sauce milder, you just got to mix a little Koji in there, let it sit for a week, not out maybe in the fridge. I don't know. Because it's fermentation. It'll you don't want to blow your glass out, but.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
It's been a blast.
Love our listeners. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks. Hopefully, we've got the tech issues actually figured out this time, and next year is going to be a big year for us, I think. This year was kind of wacky, and I wasn't necessarily. I'll accept responsibility. Wasn't necessarily consistent with the episode postings. So thank you guys, the listeners, for reaching out. There have been a couple times where I thank you, Steve, thank you, but I feel it's necessary to say because I have had people reach out a couple times, be like, "Hey, where are you guys? We miss you. New episodes, yada yada." So we're still here. Life is just crazy. So thanks for being here with us on this crazy ride and learning about crazy stuff like Koji fermentation from Wade the Wizard, Koji OG.
Koji Brian.
So, and thank you, Steve, for being here with me.
Thank you, Mike.
Love you.
Love you too, bud.
Bye.